both the light and sound are very effective. Thank you very much. Revered, multifaceted Dean of CMR, Professor Subramanya, my distinguished colleagues, and I would say fellow students. It is indeed an honor for me, a rare honor that was conferred by way of an invitation to inaugurate this faculty development program on a day which is of seminal importance. 14th July, 1789, fall of Bastille, and is celebrated as Bastille Day even in 2022. And the clarion call of the French Revolution, liberty, equality, and fraternity, reminds us and ordains us duty to make students cultivate the rule of law as a way of life. And my hearty congratulations to Professor Subramanya for having such an auspicious day for the inauguration of this program. Why have got the metaphor of French Revolution, please? Rousseau said, man is born free, but everywhere is in chains. But the same Rousseau, if he comes in 2023, I'm afraid he would say, man is born free, but everywhere he is in digital chains. We'll come to that point later. But whenever I'm asked to participate in the faculty development program, my mind goes back to my first experience in Jawaharlal Nehru University campus, when I was there as a young research scholar to collect material for my work. When Sitaram Yeshuri was the president of the Students' Union JNU. One fine afternoon when I was working in the library, I was given to understand that a teacher from the discipline of history was being felicitated for having got an award which was equivalent to Nobel Prize. Because as you know, French Nobel Prize doesn't, remember, it will not be awarded in all the subjects. Only in few select subjects you have Nobel Prize. And in some other subjects, you have equivalent of Nobel Prize. And such an equivalent of Nobel Prize, professor of JNU from the School of History got it. And they were felicitating him. And therefore it was afternoon, about 3:30, and I felt a bit tired in the library, and I wanted to just participate in the function and speak to the hall. When I entered the hall, the function was about to begin, but I saw a big banner. The banner was half open and half covered. The upper half, which was open and visible to the naked eye, said, "We don't want learning people." I was very young. It awakened my curiosity. At a function arranged to felicitate a teacher for having got international recognition, the organizers from JNU had the gumption to say that we don't want learned teachers. But I knew that JNU would be capable of having a trick or two up their sleeve. And therefore I was curbing my curiosity. The function started. The ritualistic items were going on, introduction of the speaker. And then when the teacher was about to be felicitated, the lower half of the banner was also removed. The entire banner read, "We don't want learned teachers. What we want is learning teachers." It was an eye-opener to me. Learning is a process which is continuous. And just 4 months after that, when I came back to Andhra University, and when we invited Justice Krishna Iyer, in the aftermath of that triple test decision in Bangalore waterworks case, Krishna was invited to deliver Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer endowment lectures on national prison policy. And I still remember in that function, Krishna Iyer said, and we were referring to him as the learned judge in the jurist, he took the mic and said, whenever people refer to you as a learned, don't treat it as a compliment. The moment they say you are a learned professor or you are a learned judge, it means they are reminding you that you have become anachronistic. You have become fossilized. You are out of circulation. And new coins drive old coins out of you. And the sooner you quit, the better it would be. Then he said, A judge and a teacher should always be learning and should never be learned. Because both the judges and the teachers, they influence eternity. Nobody knows as to where their influence stops. And therefore, he said, we must be learning judges and we must be learning teachers. And today's faculty development program is a reminder to all of us that whatever we are, such a lofty introduction was given about me, that I thought I should tell you in one sentence that I continue to be a student of law. A young person, when he's on the roads of a law college, he will be a law student. But when he walks from the university to the universe, for the rest of his life, he will continue to be a student of law. And I continue to be a student of law. And this faculty development program enables you to keep the touch of learning aglow. And remember, students will continue to respect a teacher as long as they realize that teacher is also a student. The moment they come to know that the teacher is trying to bank on its past, remember, the respect will diminish. Because teaching is one profession which would remind you of that aphorism. A good teacher is one who has maximal authority but minimal power. In bureaucracy, you have maximal power, but psychologically speaking, you have minimal authority. But a teacher is one who has maximal authority and minimal power. With your eye, remember, you can have a psychological control over the student. But that would happen when the student realizes that you are also learning and you are not resting on your past laurels. Because a teacher should have three qualities. A teacher should be a lifelong learner. As Panchwala said, learning is one process which starts in the wombs of our mothers and must go beyond our respective tombs. So a teacher should be a lifelong learner, eternal problem solver, and a frontline researcher. Please remember these three qualities. A teacher should be a lifelong learner, a frontline researcher, and eternal problem solver. You should be always a part of the solution and never a part of the problem. And a teacher should also remember three important things learning. First one is today's knowledge is tomorrow's ignorance. In fact, in one of these conferences I attended, organized by National Human Rights Commission on corruption in different professions, when it came to corruption in academia, there was a suggestion that corruption among teachers should be defined in such a way that failure to update one's knowledge should amount to corruption by omission. Failure to update one's knowledge, because the job of a teacher, which is to transmit the cosmic energy, remember, should awaken the curiosity of the young mind. And you will be able to awaken the curiosity only when you are up to the minute. Look at the wonderful lectures that will be given by Professor Subramanya. I'm not exaggerating even a wee bit. He is held in great esteem because his copious references to the latest developments. That makes teaching a lively occupation. You would be enjoying every minute in teaching if you believe in the dictum that today's knowledge is tomorrow's ignorance. The second dictum that a teacher should remember is in a race for excellence, there is no finish line. Remember, it's not an Olympic 100-meter race where you can start your race at 0 and complete it at 100. Remember, or at 800 meters, or 1500 meters, or 42 kilometers if it's a marathon. You have only started the race. And that excellence must continue as a habit. It should not be an isolated act. And the third one is most important. Any achievement becomes meaningless once you achieve it. Any achievement becomes meaningless. It has become a thing of the past. You must look forward. Therefore, a teacher should be ever willing to learn, learn, and learn. These are the qualities. So that's one aspect. The other aspect that Subramania was mentioning is the role of a teacher in the era of digitalization. Day before yesterday, I was reading an article by Dalai Lama on ethics. where he uses a word, technological upheaval. In 21st century, today we are living in the age of technological upheaval. And can I continue? Yeah. So Dalai Lama says we are living in the age of technological upheaval. And in the age of technological upheaval, how to live ethically has never been more urgent. So what are the ethical dimensions in the life of a human being? Ethical dimension, professional teaching, because you had a technological upheaval. People say, I refer to you to Rousseau's statement, man is born free, but are we in digital change? Remember, have we become robotic? Klaus Schwab, the author of Fourth Industrial Revolution, he wrote a book called Fourth Industrial Revolution. Speaks about Fourth Industrial Revolution. Of course, today we live in an age of intelligence. Yuval Noah Harari, the wonderful social sciences professor from Israel, who has written a masterpiece called Nexus, which speaks, I advise you to read that book. Now, that book called Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari speaks about the evolution of communication among human beings from the Stone Age to the age of artificial intelligence. From the Stone Age to the age of artificial intelligence, how communication has evolved is masterfully, remember, crafted by Yuval Noah Harari in his book Nexus. And Yuval Noah Harari in the book Nexus calls artificial intelligence alien intelligence. I'll come to that aspect later. So now, Klaus Schwab, who has written a book called Fourth Industrial Revolution, Klaus Schwab is the founder and president of the World Economic Forum at Davos. And he says, we live in the age of Fourth Industrial Revolution, and the unique feature of the Fourth Industrial Revolution is it is not a product revolution, it is a systems revolution. If you look at the first industrial revolution, steam engine, it was a product revolution. Then electrification, it was a product revolution. Then electronics, product revolution. But fourth industrial revolution is a systems revolution where you speak of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robots, and he asks a question. A robot can replicate your brain, but can a robot replicate your heart, which is full of passion, which is full of compassion? Can a robot replicate your soul, which is full of creativity? A robot may at best replicate a brain. Therefore, Klaus Schwab says, at the end of the fourth industrial revolution, if we are not to be dominated by technology, there must be a new human renaissance. This Internet of Things, these robots should not dehumanize you, should not make you robotic. Remember? And beautifully says, technology has shortened the distances, but has distanced the human relations. Technology has shortened the distances. You can speak to anyone in any part of the world. For example, all of you are in Bangalore, I mean at some other place, and I'm trying to interact with you without any hassles. So technology definitely has shortened the distances, but distanced human relations. Perhaps the farther has become near, the nearer has become farther. And remember, human beings care always more for longings than belongings. Remember, a student in the classroom wants that human touch. I'll come to that later. Therefore, are we robotized? Also, Bakshi says, are we living in a post-human world? Is it fair to talk of human rights when you have already become post-human? Okay. So where does the truth lie? Okay. Steve Jobs himself, at the end of his life, just before he was breathing his last, he confessed how happy and peaceful was life when Apple and BlackBerry were just fruits. And Microsoft, Bill Gates, when he came to India, he said, I am amazed. when I'm interacting with the youngsters and when I'm asking them, do you know about Gates? They are referring to Bill Gates, but not about the natural Gates in front of your house. Do you know about Windows? They are referring to Microsoft Windows, but not about the natural Windows, which give you sunlight and energy. So somewhere, remember, we have voluntarily, inadvertently walked into digital things. Okay. And here the role of a teacher comes. And Bill Gates beautifully said, in the name of connectivity, are we interacting with the most disconnected generation? In the name of connectivity, are we disconnected with our internal interior self? Atul Bihar Vajpayee, in one of the poems, he was a great poet. He said, younger generation should remember, internet is important, but inner net is more important than internet. So the teacher's job is to focus on that inner net. Let it be an era of digitalization. Let it be an era of artificial intelligence. But when the word artificial intelligence comes, I'm reminded of two things. Number one, I have interacted with senior professors of computer science, physics, engineering, requesting them to explain to me the meaning of artificial intelligence, which a layman can understand. I could not get it. But when I was invited to a debate competition in Bombay University for school-going students from class 8 to class 11, a girl who was studying ninth class came to the dais and said, by artificial intelligence, I mean an attempt to mechanize human thought in artificial intelligence. An attempt to mechanize human thoughts in artificial intelligence. And immediately she asked the question, can all human thoughts be mechanized? And she said, if the answer to the question, can all human thoughts be mechanized, is not yes, that means there's a limit. Human thoughts are beyond the realm of technology and science. Manu Bhaumik, who has invented the laser, a scientist from India, a scientist from Kolkata, Jadavpur University, has written a book called Code Name God. Code Name God. C-O-D-E code, N-A-M-E name G-O-D God. Where he speaks about the limitations of science and limitations of technology after having invented laser, after having become a celebrity in the world. If a laser surgery is conducted somewhere in Bangalore hospital, a part of it goes as patent to Mr. Manu Bhaumik. In that book, he speaks about, remember, the limitations of science and technology and the need to understand the spiritual significance. So coming back to that girl who defined artificial intelligence as an attempt to mechanize human thoughts, she said artificial intelligence can never substitute human beings and can never endanger humanity as long as you remember one principal dictum. Artificial intelligence coupled with natural stupidity will be dangerous. After all said and done, it is called artificial. Right? And therefore, you take advantage of technology. Technology should not dehumanize you. Technology should not be taken advantage of to make you a robot. Technology should not be at the cost of justice. Technology should not be at the cost of human beings. Technology should not be at the cost of teaching. Our relationship with technology should not undermine our humanity. Technology has given many advantages. When Professor Subramania and I were doing research in the initial days, we used to slog and write with pen and pencil the judgments from All India reporters, which used to come after 2 months. And we used to feel happy that we were updated. And bundles of papers in our chambers was a manifestation of the labor. Okay. But today, at the click of a button, you get the judgments. Well, yes, that's it. Take advantage of it. But let it not dehumanize you. So the second point about artificial intelligence, in 2018, in MIT, in the United States, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a great book was published. The author is Meredith Broussard, Meredith Broussard. You know the title of the book? Artificial Unintelligence. Artificial Unintelligence by Meredith Broussard. In that book, he focuses on two themes. Number one, how computers misunderstand the world. Number one. And number two, the inner workings and the outer limits of technology. He says to the capacity of the human brain, there is no outer limit. But there is an outer limit to technology. I would advise you to read that book, a small book running to 250 to 300 pages by Meredith Broussard. The title is very easy to remember, Artificial Unintelligence. Now, why I'm giving you this backdrop is, remember, to make you understand the limitations of technology, especially because your generation is going to teach students who are born between 1995 and 2012. And this generation is called I generation. And the chief feature of this generation is by the deep integration with technology and internet, by growing up with smartphones and social media, these people look at things from a different perspective. It has enhanced their cognitive capacity, but has it enhanced their emotional equilibrium? This is a question that is to be answered. Just let me have water. So, technology does not dehumanize. A student who comes to the classroom burns with the desire to learn. And the teacher is only a medium. Okay? He must understand, identify that burning desire. And in the process, the teacher should become a medium for the student on his road to acquire knowledge. And a good teacher is one who recognizes the fire and helps to nurture it. That would be possible when a teacher understands that technological gadgets can only supplement and aid his efforts, but can never substitute him. No. Why I am telling this repeatedly is I've seen my younger colleagues falling into the trap of totally depending on technology in trying to consume the time in the classroom of 50 minutes. Both in offline and online teaching, especially in online teaching, where you use electronic gadgets, teaching and learning have given way to consumption. And you go to the class, don't look at the face of the student, you open your PowerPoint presentation, and even without looking at the students, you start reading that. And the students will be minding their own business. Remember, using their smartphones and other things. And both the teacher and the student would be waiting for the 50 minutes to be completed so that a ritual is complete. Please remember, a PowerPoint presentation is meant to enable the teachers of engineering who would not be required to waste 50 minutes in the classroom to draw a diagram. They can readily present it. and explain to that. Because a teacher is one, remember, who should maintain the eye contact. So my colleague Professor Mallar used to say, it is not the PowerPoint presentation which is important, but it is powerful business. So when you are walking unwittingly into the trap of depending too much on PowerPoint presentation by preparing slides, etc., 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 the student would after some time say, I can get all this information from my smartphone, which is in my palm. We expect you to awaken our curiosity, remember, because the job of a teacher, especially at the university level, please remember what Shashi Tharoor said in one context, distinguishing school education and the university education. In school education, you are taught to answer the questions. How is President of India elected? What are his powers? He lives in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Okay, he's the supreme commander. You are given 10 out of 10. But when you come to university education, the teacher should teach the student to question the answer. What Jail Singh justified in withholding the postal bill of Rajiv Gandhi. Does the president have the power under the scheme of things? And when recently President Mumu had asked for the advisory opinion of the Supreme Court relating to the powers of the governor and whether the governor can be directed by the Supreme Court to do something within a limited frame of time. Now, who has arrogated to himself or herself the powers that were not envisaged under the Constitution? These things he will explain in the class, in the university, because our job is to enable the student to question the answers. Because remember, answers may reflect your knowledge, but questions would reflect your thinking capacity. Now, that enhancement of thinking capacity is best done in the classroom by whom? Not by a technological gadget, but by a man in flesh and blood, remember, with that human touch, where he tries to explain things, remember. And a good teacher always teaches from his heart and not from the book. And if you want to teach from the heart, and if you want to reach the youngsters, you must take advantage of technology and use it as an aid. Technology can be a tool to help you, not to substitute, because the radiance of a teacher in the classroom, therefore, understand the limitations of technology and never walk into the trap of becoming a slave to technology. Take advantage of the technology and let it not dehumanize you. In fact, inadvertently, when we are in transition, a question was asked when video conferencing trial or hearings were introduced. One professor asked a question: video conferencing hearings, are they resulting in inequality, a new form of inequality, whereby you are preventing access to justice for those people who do not have the technological know-how? If you do not have the technological know-how, and are you being streamed out of the system? Not really the answer. What you call digital divide. This is one aspect. The second aspect is, remember, what is called digital toxicism. I asked you, raised a point in the beginning, that in the name of connectivity, we are the most disconnected people. Remember. And digital alienation, this is another word that is coming to the fore, wherein an emphasis is made on teachers to go out of the way to communicate more and more with the students. Because these students, getting lost in the digital world, they are feeling alienated. And once they feel alienated, they feel frustrated. And once they feel frustrated, they become aggressive. So how do you remove that digital alienation? The job of a teacher is to continuously communicate with the students. That would happen when, remember, you are not becoming a slave to technology. The next point I wanted to tell you is a teacher should remember that text is only a pretext for him to teach. You must move from the text to the context. And that will be possible, remember, when you take help of technology and when you don't get substituted by technology. When you want to teach the text of the Constitution and the context of constitutionalism and bring in the emerging manifestations in the transformative constitutional justice, remember, can you expect a gadget to perform all those things? Because the best teacher is one who believes that what he has left unsaid becomes the most important part of teaching. What I say in the classroom is not the important part of teaching. Cultural, I used to say, what is left unsaid in the Constitution is more important than what is said in the Constitution. Likewise, what a teacher leaves unsaid is more important than what a teacher says in the classroom. That means you must allow the imagination of the student, remember, to take wings. My professor used to say, Venkat Rao, remember one thing. Never try to impose limits on the unlimited imagination of the students because of your limited imagination. Follow the question very carefully. Never try to impose limits on the unlimited imagination of the students because you have a limited imagination. And the second one is never try to impose limits on your unlimited imagination because of the limited imagination of your peer group. That means every human being has unlimited imagination. And like Kalam says in his book Wings of Fire, you must allow that wings to fly and never snub the student saying that what you are saying is irrelevant. No. The student has the curiosity. Therefore, for that, a teacher requires an open mind. Amartya Sen says, a good teacher is one whose mind is not closed. And one of the professors of the Princeton University, winner of Nobel Prize in Physics, was once asked a question. Why do you think that students exist in the university? Asked whether you know what he said. He just smiled and said, students are there in the university to teach professors. He did not say professors are there in the university to teach students. And he said, the classroom is the most fertile soil for research. And he said, even today, Amartya Sen, when he wants to publish a book, when he finished with the manuscript, he doesn't send the manuscript to the publishers direct, but he circulates the manuscript among his class students. And it gets circulated. And with the observations and the comments of students, the manuscript is revised. And then it is sent for publication. So it's a happy dialogue that takes place between the teachers and the students. And it's a continuous dialogue, a communication. See, in the argumentative Indian, the Amartya Sen says, our Indian education system depended on dialogue. Now, when you believe in technology, when technology takes over in the so-called digital era, remember, in the evolution of mankind, so many eras have taken place. Fashionably, you may call it digital era. And now, even Noah Harari calls it the age of intelligence. Okay, you may call it the age of intelligence. But it is the human being who is the focus. So you should not, remember, take a human being away from the focus. And therefore have an open mind. Teach with not a functioning brain. Remember, technology can steal your brain, right? But can never steal your heart. When a human being has only a functioning brain but doesn't have a functioning heart, Shakespeare said in Merchant of Venice, justice becomes a casualty. So when a teacher doesn't have a functioning heart but relies on functioning brain, teaching will become a casualty. So with a functioning heart, remember, move from the text to the context and give happiness to the student. Remember, through your forays, without losing focus of, remember, the main theme. And make the student believe that the purpose of education is enlightenment, empowerment, and enhancement. Three words: enlightenment, empowerment, and enhancement. And when you have these three, enlightenment, enhancement, and empowerment, obviously you will also have employment incidentally. Okay. So enlightenment, enhancement, and empowerment. And therefore, make this known to teacher. Rabindranath Tagore was once asked a question, who is a good teacher? And Tagore said, a good teacher is one who believes in knowledge assimilation and not knowledge acquisition. How beautifully I put it. All of us have acquired knowledge. We have passed our LLM, we have passed the UGC NET, we have passed PhD, we have written papers, corpus, all sorts of things. And therefore, the theory says we have acquired knowledge. But did we stop there? T.S. Eliot asked, where is the knowledge we have lost in information? Some people stop at first stage itself. They don't go to knowledge. Some people go to knowledge. But where is the wisdom you have lost in knowledge? Tagore asked this question. From acquisition of knowledge, you must move to assimilation of knowledge. A good teacher is one who believes in knowledge assimilation. What is that? Knowledge assimilation is that where you realize the inner truth when you are teaching the subject. See, when you have acquisition of knowledge, well, you teach, right? You teach about constitution, you teach about 22 parts, you teach about 12 schedules, all sorts of things. But somewhere you are not able to realize the truth. A teacher must realize the truth and must make students realize the truth. And that is the most important quality of a teacher. Making the student realize the truth. And that is possible when you have an open mind. That is possible when you have unlimited imagination. And the most important thing is, a teacher in the classroom should never look for perfect students. In fact, in life it is said, don't look for perfect people. First, they don't exist. Everyone has his own imperfections. Rather, let people be amazed how well you will deal with them with all their imperfections. Let students be amazed how well you deal with them with all their imperfections. Because a teacher is like a water purifying machine. Don't expect pure water to come. The muddy water will come. You clean it. As a filter, you filter it. That would happen when one important quality is fulfilled. I do not know how many of you